I'm Gabe Joel, and this is Comic Smack, your weekly daily all the time, anytime comic show where I give you your fix, everything you need to know from the world of comic books and superheroes. And on today's show,
we're taking a closer look at Peter Parker the Spectacular Spider-Man issue number 303. Has the webhead's tampering with time cost him more than he could ever imagine? Well, let's hop on in together and find out. Alrighty then, so as we join the comic, we check back on in with JONAH JAMESON. He staked out the bank that the Tinkerer will eventually rob in the future, setting into motion his meeting with the alien Vadami and eventually the whole alien invasion that they went back in time to stop in the first place. Man, comics are weird, right? Unfortunately, Peter is in no position to help anyone right now because he's dealing with his own issue. Norman Osborn, the Green Goblin, has kidnapped his aunt as well as his younger self. History has also now chosen to repeat itself in the most horrifying way possible, as Norman has taken his aunt and younger self to the same bridge that Gwen Stacy died on. However, unlike the night Gwen Stacy died, Spider-Man has friends who are willing to help him. TERESA agrees to go and deal with the Tinkerer so Spider-Man can go save his younger self and aunt. And hey, speaking of TERESA, she actually gets a lot to do this issue. She ends up confronting the Tinkerer, which in a way kind of brings her story from the beginning of this full circle, as it's the Tinkerer who kicked off the whole making her a fugitive storyline. In the ensuing fight, Tinkerer's lab gets destroyed, and for a second our heroes think they've saved the future, but things get really complicated. You see, the Vadami droid is actually very sentient and cares for Tinkerer very much. He actually asks the heroes to save his life in return for giving them something that they will use to eventually stop the whole alien invasion. So, let that be a lesson to the lot of you. The friendship of an alien drone is absolutely invaluable. Now, the Green Goblin is still on top of the bridge awaiting his confrontation with Spider-Man, hoping that if he can kill him now, he'll save himself so much trouble in the future. Actually, you know what? Is it weird that I find this version of Norman Osborn much more terrifying than the Red Goblin that's running around in the main Spider-Man book right now? There's just something about how desperate he is right here, as well as angry as what the future might hold for him and how no matter how hard he tries, he just can't seem to win. This issue is also filled with a number of really great art allusions to other famous Spider-Man storylines. In a great bit of writing, too, Peter Parker shows just exactly how much he's learned and how much he's grown as a hero since those early days as Spider-Man. Aunt May ends up taking a header off the bridge, but instead of snapping her neck like Gwen Stacy's neck was snapped, he knows exactly where and when to deploy a web net to catch her just in the nick of time, making me think that he spent a lot of time thinking about how this would go if he was ever given a second chance at the whole bridge scenario. Now, Peter is understandably filled with rage, what with being forced to relive one of the worst nights of his life from a whole new angle. You think for a second he might very well kill the Green Goblin, but during this whole ordeal, Aunt May actually figured out that Spider-Man was her nephew. She stays his hand, saying that her and Ben Parker didn't raise a murderer, and together they embrace each other in a very sweet little one-off scene. And with that, our heroes are ready to celebrate. They saved the day and then some. They're going to return to the future tomorrow, but not before TERESA drops a major bomb on Peter, and that is during her research into their parents. She discovered that, well, they are actually 100% brother and sister. The whole Kingpin mastermind ploy that they had been involved in actually had some slivers of truth to it, and now Peter is ready to return home with a brand new family member. Only, it's not all sunshine and rainbows, having to hear his older self talk about all the horrible things that is going to happen to him down the line. Young Peter Parker figures that maybe he'll quit being Spider-Man now and save himself a lot of grief. And it's on a great artistic callback to Spider-Man No More that this issue comes to a close. So that was Peter Parker the Spectacular Spider-Man, everybody, and overall I continue to enjoy this time travel romp that Chip Zdarsky is delivering. It's fun, lighthearted, even when it actually gets quite serious and the stakes are raised. And hey, much like J. Jonah Jameson finally figuring out Peter Parker is Spider-Man, this book has another major change to the character's overall lore, and now discovering that TERESA is his 100% real deal sister. You gotta wonder how the main book is gonna deal with all of this, especially as Nick Spencer is coming on to write Amazing very soon. Will we see her pop up more often, or is this going to be a thing that's only really honored here in this book? Loved all the fun references, loved all the shout-outs, loved not really knowing where the story was going, and to be genuinely surprised by a lot of the twists and turns it had. I would give this one an 8 out of 10. It's a fun time. So that's Spider-Man, everyone. I hope you enjoyed it, and as always, be sure to take a closer look at some of these other videos I've been working on that you can follow me on Twitter and Facebook at Cape Jewel, so you're always up to date on what I'm doing next. And hey, if you like what I do and are feeling in a supportive mood, please check out my Patreon link down in the description. Patrons get exclusive access to videos and content before anyone else, and you can do so for as little as $1 a month. So until next time, everyone, this has been Cape Joel. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.